Hello viewers, we're now taking you through the story of O-level mathematics. And in this video, we're going to go through the marking guide for Senior 4 of Math Paper 2 for Uneb 2022. So this video is suitable for students in Senior 4. So you'll start with section A. So Math Paper 2 has two sections, section A and section B. Section A has 10 questions with 4 marks each, and section B has 7 questions where you're supposed to answer any 5. So question 1 says, 3 students, Sarah, Jane, and Ismail, shared money in the ratio this, 4:6:9, respectively. That means that Sarah's ratio was 4, Jane's ratio was 6, and Ismail's ratio was 9. Ismail received shillings 24,300. How much did they share? So questions on ratios which involve sharing, the first thing to do is to get the total ratio. So I'll add 4 plus 6 plus 9. It gives me 19. Then I'll ask myself, what fraction did Ismail receive? So Ismail corresponds to 9. So the fraction will be 9 over the total ratio, which is 19, multiplied by the total amount. So let the amount be x because that's what they want. Therefore, it implies that the fraction, which is 9 over 19 of the total, which is x, as we saw here, must give you this amount which Ismail received. Now you have got an equation with only one unknown. So the next thing we have to look for is to find out how to make x the subject. The first thing to do is to cross multiply. I'll take this 19 this side to give me this. Then from there I will divide both sides by 9. Here I'll multiply to give you this, then I'll divide both sides by 9 to give me the value of x. So that is the amount which was shared. And that's how you could get the 4 marks. So like you always know, Uneb makes reports after every marking. So in his report, so this extract was got from the report written by Uneb on the work of candidates, and those reports are available on their website. So question analysis, the question required candidates to determine the total parts of the given ratio, express the ratios as fraction, and form and solve a simple linear equation in one unknown. So basically this is what they're talking about. They want a total ratio, then also expressing the ratio as a fraction, and also get a simple linear equation which we're supposed to solve. Linear means it only has x, not without a power. If it was x squared, it is no longer linear. So the question was very popular but poorly done. And the weakness is that candidates had challenge in forming the correct equation to determine the unknown amount shared. So always follow the procedure. You first let the total amount to be x, otherwise it will not be okay. Advise that teachers should expose learners to a variety of tasks involving sharing from a given total sum and ratios, and determining the total sum from the given ratios and shares. So in this question, they've given you a certain amount which Ismail got, and they wanted you to get the total amount shared. So you should read the question and understand it. Teachers should as well guide learners in forming meaningful equations. So that was question 1. What about question 2? Question 2 says, 2 sets A and B in a universal set this. So this means universal set are such that the number of all elements is 21 Number of elements in A is 14. Number of elements in A union B is 16. Find Roman 1, the number of elements in A union B, everything complement. And part B, number of elements in A complement, intersection B. So this is about sets. Therefore, the best thing to do is to illustrate the given information in a Venn diagram. So you have the total here, then you have A, then you have the B, which we don't know. We have got it from here, B, but we don't know it. That's why you put a question mark. Then the intersection, we don't know it. But when you know the intersection, you should know that the total of this plus this gives you 14. That is why here when there is x here, the remainder will be 14 minus x, remainder from this. Then here I don't know what is here, so we shall just put another unknown, which is y. And we don't know also what is outside the union, so we shall put z. The good thing, we know that this total is the total of all these elements. But why am I writing 16 plus z? It is because the whole of this A union B, this 16, covers all this, covers this, plus this, plus this. So that gives you the union, which is 16, plus the z to make the total of 21. That is why I've written just 16 plus z equal to 21. So here, the good thing, I have only one unknown. So my work is to look for a way of making it the subject. And when I do that, by taking this 16 this side, I'll come up with 5 as the value of z. And you really realize that z is the value of A union B, everything complement. So complement of A union B means what is not here. It should be this. Then part B, they want A complement intersection B. So in other words, A complement intersection B means B only. So what is B only? B only is y. So our aim is to look for the value of y. So I'll come and say that this union is the same as this plus this plus this. And they've given us that the union is 16. The good thing is that when you look at this and this cancels, and you remain with only one unknown. So taking this 14 this side gives you the value of y as 2. And in that case, I've got what they wanted. And that's how the 4 marks would come about. So the question required candidates to display skills and competences in representing sets on a Venn diagram. So you had to know what an complement is, what an intersection is, and what a union is. Identification of the required regions and interpretation of the set notation. So interpretation means complement, intersection, union. So the question was popular and fairly done. However, most candidates failed to correctly interpret set notation, especially complement of sets. So complement, if they say A complement, means elements which are not in A. When they say B complement, means elements which are not in B. That is why here they said A union B complement means elements which are not in A union B. A union B is this, and the ones which are not in that is only Z. Then A complement intersection B is B only, because this has A, but they want A complement, so it is only this. We are taking only Y because of the word intersection. That's why we take B only. So teachers should emphasize set notation and regions on Venn diagrams. So those set notations, you have to know them. Teachers should also handle set language properly, giving enough practical work to the learners. So we expect you as candidates to do enough practice on questions involving set theory. Then question 3, that was question 2. Now question 3 says the points M, N, A, and B are such that MN is parallel to AB. Determine the value of Y. So first thing to do is to get the vector MN. Vector MN is ON minus OM. That's the order. So ON is this in vector form, then this in vector form. Subtracting, it means the upper part is 5 minus 1, which is 4. Lower part is 11 minus 3, which is 8. That gives vector MN. Then AB is OB minus OA. So OB is this. In vector form, it becomes 4y. OA is this. In vector form, it becomes 0, negative 3. Then we still subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. Y minus negative 3. This gives you a positive. That's why you see plus here. Then you remember the condition for parallel vectors. One is a scalar multiple of the other. So this k is a constant. Then we shall come and substitute. Then this, for equality of vectors, we shall say the upper part is 4 equal to k times 4. And making k the subject gives you 1. Now that you have known k, you can use the lower part, 8 equal to k times y plus 3. Then you substitute for the value of k and look for, so at this step we have only one unknown, which is y. So you have to look for a way of making y the subject, and that will be the value they wanted. So that is how you could get the 4 marks. So question required candidates to determine the gradient, to determine the gradient of a straight line, apply the knowledge of equal gradients of parallel lines, and form and solve a simple linear equation in one unknown. So that was one way, but for me I used the other approach of using the knowledge of vectors. But you can also use the knowledge of straight lines having the same gradient, though that will be a little longer. So I use the knowledge of vectors, parallel vectors. Candidates fail to relate gradients of parallel lines. Like I said, that was one approach where they use gradients, but for me I use the approach of vectors. So teachers should emphasize the relationship between gradients and parallel lines, as well as determination of gradient of one line from the other. Then question 4 is about functions, and says a function h is defined by hy equal to y squared minus 2. Find the range of h if the domain is -4, -2, 0, 3. So the domain are the values of y. So the range are the values of this hy. So I'll come and say that when y is -4, what is hy? H -4. So h -4 becomes, where there is y, you put -4. So this is 16 minus 2 to give you 14. What about when y is -2? -2 squared is 4 minus 2 gives you 2. When y is 0, 0 squared is 0 minus 2 to give you -2. When y is 3, 3 squared is 9 minus 2 to give you 7. And after that, we can now write our range in order. So this, and that. And that's how you could get the 4 marks. So the question required candidates to substitute into the given function to get the range and state the range as a set. Note this word, as a set. So this last statement was vital. If you don't write it, then 1 mark will have gone. So many candidates fail to square negative numbers correctly. So some candidates, when they say -2 squared, they maintain the negative. But a -2 times -2 becomes a positive. So if you write it as -4, it is not okay. Some candidates did not state the range as a set. So that last mark, they couldn't get it. Teachers should emphasize manipulation of integers to learners, especially negative numbers. So negative numbers disturb students, but should be keen when it comes to negative so that you don't lose marks for something you know. Teachers should also emphasize stating the domain and range as functions, range of functions as sets. So it should be in set form. Set form means we use this symbol. Only and only that symbol. Don't use a curved bracket. Don't use a box bracket. Those ones, we don't know them. Sets, we use this symbol of curved brackets. That was question 4. Now question 5 says express this in the form that. So that was about sides. Okay. Now the first thing to realize is 20 is the same as 4 times 5. And 4 is a perfect square, meaning the square root of 4 is 2. Therefore, I'll come and where there is 4, I'll replace it with 2, because square root of 4 becomes 2. But this one, it is not a perfect square, so it remains under the square root. But the good thing, you realize that here we have root 5, and here we have root 5, meaning we can now get the LCM. LCM will be 2 root 5. Then from there, 2 root 5 divided by root 5, the root cancels, remain with 2, and 2 times 1 gives you 2, which is here. Then root 5 divided by, 2 root 5 divided by 2 root 5, everything cancels, remaining with 1. 1 times 1 gives you 1, which is there. Then 1 plus 1 is 3 over 2 root 5. But the question wants the square root to be in the numerator. So what we do, we rationalize. Rationalize means we multiply up and down by this side, which is 5. So this times root 5, this times root 5. You'll come up with numerator as 3 root 5 and denominator. Now root 5 times root 5 gives 5. This is why you see 5 here. But we also have a 2 here. So 2 times 5 gives you 10. And I think you realize it's already in the form which is needed. So basically that is how you could get the 4 marks. So the question required candidates to express sides as a single fraction, rationalize the denominator and the denominator of the single fraction. So the question was not popular and poorly done. So candidates are used to questions with only one fraction, whereby they just straight away begin to rationalize. But here, it needed you to get LCM and get one quotient. Then you can rationalize that. It was a little tricky. So many candidates fail to express sides as a single fraction, that part of getting LCM. Then they also fail to rationalize the denominator. Advise that teachers should teach addition and subtraction of fractions with irrational denominators, because most students getting LCM when there is an irrational number it was a challenge when there was that SAD, root 5. They should also emphasize rationalization of fractions with SADs in the denominators by exposing learners to a variety of examples. That was question 5. Now we shall go to question 6. Question 6 says, a cone has a base radius of 21 and a volume of 5,500 centimeters cubed. Calculate the vertical height of the cone. So the good thing, we know the radius and we know the total volume. So first you have to know the formula for volume of a cone. It is a third pi r squared, where r is h and v is this and pi is 22/7. So when you substitute all that, you realize that you have only one unknown and your work is to make it the subject. So let us first simplify using a calculator. The whole of this gives you 462, that is h, that's why you see h there. Okay, it is becoming simpler. Next is to divide both sides by 462. Then to use the calculator, this will give you the value of h as that. So here it is okay to use 2 decimal places from 2 to 4, between 2 to 4. One can use 2, another one can use 3, another one can use 4. Any is okay. So if I wanted to use 2 decimal places, it would be 11.90. So the question required candidates to apply Pythagoras theory to determine the lengths, substitute into a formula of volume of a cone, form an equation to determine the height of the cone. So that was one approach. Remember, math, there are a number of methods, but usually on this platform we prefer a method which is a little simpler. So the method which was a little simpler was substituting straight away from the volume into the volume of a cone. But what they are meaning here is that if I want this and I have r, how can I use Pythagoras theory to relate these two and get the volume using the volume of a cone? So it is a little disturbing. So let's go with the method I've given you, whereby you just quote the formula for volume of a cone, substitute, and when you substitute you have only one unknown, then look for that unknown, and that will be all. There's no need to complicate. So that was question 6. Now we shall go to question 7. It says, part A, draw the graphs of the lines y equal to 1 and x plus y equal to 6 on the same axis. So in this case, we shall need a graph paper. So this one is easier to draw, but what about this? We need to get the intercepts. So for this line, we shall ask ourselves, when x is 0, what is y? Come where there is x, put 0, and you'll get y as 6. Therefore, the coordinate is that. So this, we have got the y-intercept. What about the x-intercept? X-intercept means when y is 0, come and substitute for y and get x as 6. Therefore, the x-intercept is 6, 0. So now that I've got the coordinates, we can now come and draw our graph. We shall first begin with the axes and label them. X-axis, y-axis. Then get the scale for the x-axis. So we shall use 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit. Do the same for the vertical axis, get the scale. We shall still use 1 centimeter to represent 1 unit. Then you'll come and draw y equal to 0 means you come on the y-axis, look for 1, sorry, y equal to 1. Look for 1 and draw a horizontal line. That is what they mean by y equal to 1. But this one means you have to locate this, first plot these two coordinates. So 0, 6 is here, then 6, 0 is here, Then you have to get a ruler and join these 2 points. It must be a ruler. So let's do that. And label the line. So that is line x plus y equal to 6. Now the part B, that was part A. In part B they said, use your graph to state the coordinates of the point of intersection of the 2 lines. So the intersection is this point. So horizontal x-axis it is 5, y-axis it is 1. So the coordinate is 5, 1. Therefore you come and say that part B, the required point is 5, 1. And that's what they wanted. So that's how the 4 marks would come about. So the question required candidates to plot points on a coordinate system and draw straight lines, read the coordinates of a point from a Cartesian coordinate system. Then the question was less popular but fairly done. So here for me, I'm stuck to using the word graph paper, but UNEB no longer wants us to use the word graph paper. That's why you see here the word coordinate system. So they want you to use the word coordinate system or grid paper. But I believe if I use the word graph paper, you know what it means. But the actual word should be grid paper or coordinate system. Anyway, so weakness is that many candidates drew graphs on answer booklets. Oh, so in UNEB, it is your responsibility to ask for graph papers where need be. So each time they say draw a graph, in Olevel, you must use a graph paper. So many candidates lost marks because of that. Many candidates could not read the required point from the graph. So you have to know that reading, you begin with the x-axis, followed by the value on the y-axis. If you interchange, it is not okay. So teachers should emphasize drawing of accurate graphs on graph paper. It has to be a graph paper or grid paper. More tasks that are practical should be given to learners on plotting and reading points on a Cartesian coordinate system. There was question 7. What about question 8? Question 8 says, given that vector A is equal to 2, 6, and vector B is 4, 9, vector C is 14, 36. Find the value of K if Ka plus 2B is equal to C. So one thing you should realize that A has this tilde. They call it a tilde, or you can say a vector symbol. B has a tilde, C has a tilde, but K does not have. What does that mean? It means that K is not a vector. A, B, C are vectors, but K is not a vector. So what do we call it? We call it a scalar. A scalar means a constant value. It can be a fraction, it can be a whole number, it can be an integer, but it is not a vector. So we shall come here, and first thing to do is to substitute. Where there is A, put there B and C. Okay, then you should remember how to multiply a vector with a scalar. This K multiplies both up and down, or both the I component and the J component. So this I component becomes 2K, J component becomes 6K. Here I component becomes 8, which is 4 times 2, and 4 times 9 is 18. Then addition. Addition, it is this plus this, which is that. This plus this gives you that. Then from there, we'll use the property of equality. Equality means equate the I components to give you the value of K as 3. That is one approach. Another one could say, why don't I equate the J components? It is also okay. So alternatively, if I equate the J components, I'll come up with still the value of K as 3. So any approach is okay. So that's how we could get the 4 marks. So the question required candidates to substitute column vectors. So we emphasize column vector into the given expressions. Multiply column vector by scalars. Carry out vector addition of column vectors. Equate corresponding x and y components of the equal vectors. So x component is what I call the I component. Y components is what I call the j component. To determine the unknown value of the scalar k, it is a scalar. So some candidates fail to multiply the vector by scalars. So vector by scalar, the scalar multiplies both the up and down values. Other candidates could not compare corresponding components of equal vectors to get the value of k. So we have to know the property of equality of vectors. I components are equal and j components are equal. That was question H. We shall now go to question 9. Question 9 says, a camera costs £200 in Britain. Given that the exchange rates are £1 equal to 1.2 US dollars and $1 equal to shillings 3,700. Calculate the cost of the camera in Uganda shillings. So shall come and say, let's start with this because we are given in pounds. So shall come and say, from this exchange rate, if £1 is equal to 1.2 US dollars, it means that £200 will be 1.2 times 200, which gives you $240. Now that I've got the dollars, shall go to this exchange rate and say $1 is equal to 3,700. That means that $240 is 3,700 times 240, which gives you 880,000 Ugandan shillings. And that's what they wanted. So the question required candidates to interpret and use the given exchange rates to convert from one currency to the other. The question was less popular and poorly done. Why? Because many candidates failed to interpret and apply the given exchange rates to convert pounds to Ugandan shillings. So teachers should expose learners to a variety of examples that use more than one conversion or exchange rate. That was question 9. Now we shall go to question 10. Question 10 says, in the figure below, PT is 8 centimeters, TR is 2, ST is parallel to QR. The area of triangle PQR is 75. Calculate the area of triangle PST. So area scale factor, this is about enlargement or similarities. So area scale factor is equal to linear scale factor, the square of linear scale factor. So area scale factor is area PST, area of small circle, so small triangle, over area of big triangle. We should use the same concept here. So numerator was small area, denominator was big area. So even here, when it comes to length, we should use the small length over the big length. Then shall come and substitute area PQR was given, PT was given, and PR is this total, which is 2 plus 8. So the good thing I have only one unknown. I can cross multiply to get the area PST which they wanted. So B1 for area scale factor, linear scale factor, and this is equating the two with the power seen, and lastly the area of the triangle which is needed. So the question required candidates to determine linear scale factor and area scale factor from the given figure. Use the knowledge of the relationship between LSF and ASF to form a meaningful equation. Then express the quantity as the subject of the formula. Weakness is that most candidates could not determine linear scale factor, and others could not relate LSF to ASF. So you should know that area scale factor is the square of linear scale factor. Teachers should emphasize the relationship between LSF and ASF. That was question 10. Now we shall go to question 11. Remember I told you section A has 10 questions, 4 marks each. And now we have begun section B, which has 7 questions and 12 marks each. So question 11 says, solve for x and y in these equations. So those are simultaneous equations, but they have been tricked by expressing them in terms of indices. So a student has to be knowledgeable in indices first. So let's see how to simplify them and take them back to the linear simultaneous equations. We shall begin with equation by equation. Let's start with this first equation. This first equation, the 8 is the same as 2 to power 3 and 4 is the same as 2 to power 2. Okay. Then from there we shall remember that these are powers, so to become 3 times x to be 3x. Then also 2 times, now here you should be keen to put a bracket because this 2 will multiply each time. So 2 times 2y is 4y. 2 times 1 is 2. So this is where the trick was. Most students multiply this by 2y but could not multiply 2 by 1. After that you realize that these are same base, so they can cancel and remain with only the powers. I think now we have a linear equation. Let's call it equation 1. And we shall do the same procedure on this second equation. For this case, it is now 27 is 3 to power 3 and 9 is 3 to power 2. So express 27 and 9 as powers. Then still the same, this 2 multiplies y and 3 to give you that. And this 3 multiplies 2x to give you 6x. Same base, you can eliminate them and remain with only the powers, which gives you a second equation. Now I have got 2 equations in the form which we all know. So next is to solve. I'll come and say that equation 1 minus equation 2, because these are the same. You see here, there is 3x and here there is also 3x. So when I subtract x will be eliminated. The negative 4 minus negative 1 gives you negative 3. That's why you see negative 3y. 2 minus negative 3 gives you 5. So that means that the value of y will be negative 5 over 3. What about the value of x? Value of x, I'll use any of the equations. So let me use equation 2. Where there is y, I'll put there negative 5 over 3. Before I go to the next step, next slide, let's see how marks will be awarded for this slide. So far we have got 10 marks. You are left with 2 marks to make the 12, meaning you are about to. So let's see how to get those other 2 marks. The next 2 marks are to simplify and make the value of x the subject. So here, what I've done, I have moved from this step to this step. I have multiplied throughout by the LCM, which is 3. So 3 times this gives you 9x, 3 times this gives you 5, 3 times this gives you negative 9. Then from there, I've taken this side to become negative 14. Then I'll divide both sides by 9 to give me negative 14 over 9. and that's what they wanted. So the question required candidates to display skill and competence in expressing 8, 4, and 27, 9 as powers of 2 and 3, respectively. Application of laws of indices, solving linear and solving linear simultaneous equations. So a few candidates failed to express 4 and 8 as powers of 2 and 27 and 9 as powers of 3. The use of power multiplicative law of indices was a challenge to some candidates. Power multiplicative law is this one, so the word shouldn't disturb you. It is this part we saw here, that this and this are both powers, so we multiply. This and this are both powers, so we multiply. That's what they mean. Okay. So that was question 11. Now shall go to question 12. Question 12 says, a class of 56 students, all students belong to at least one of the following clubs: drama, mathematics, and patriotism. 28 students belong to drama club. 24 belong to mathematics club. And 32 belong to patriotism. 10 students belong to drama and mathematics club. 6 belong to drama and patriotism. 4 belong to all the 3 clubs. So part A, represent the given information on a Venn diagram. I think let's begin with part A. So we shall first begin by drawing a Venn diagram. There are 3 parts, so that's why you draw 3 circles. So the total they said was 56. Then none. All of them belong to at least one club. That's why we put 0 for none. Then drama, there were 28. Math was 24, and patriotism was 32. Okay. Then they talked about all here. They said somewhere here, 4 students belong to all the 3. That is why we put 4 here. Okay. Then they also said, here that 10 belong to drama and mathematics. Then 6 belong to drama and patriotism. So shall come here for drama and mathematics. The whole of this should be 10. But you already have 4 here, meaning that the balance will be 10 minus 4, which is 6. Okay. Then also, when it came to math and patriotism, there were 6. But you already have 4 here, so the balance will be 2. Okay. So that is the information given. Next we shall put unknowns. So unknown there throughout. And that's how the 3 marks would come about for that Venn diagram. Then part B, find the number of students who belong to mathematics club only. So mathematics club only, they want the value of B. And the good thing, if you look at this, the whole of this circle must be equal to 24. Therefore, I'll add this plus this plus this plus this to give me 24. Let's do that. So this gives me 24. I'll have only B as the only unknown, so make it the subject. And that will be the answer. So those who belong to math only are 12. Then part C, if a student is picked at random, what is the probability that the student belongs to at least 2 clubs? Now, at least 2 clubs, it means they want 2 or more. These are 2, these are 2, these are 2. Then or more, it has this, which is 3. Now, to get that probability, you need to get the value of x. So how shall we get the value of x? Let's try that. So the total is 32 plus a plus 6 plus b equal to 56. Where are these coming from? So total means you add all the entries inside, all these ones, plus this. You add all of them to get 56. But the good thing, we already know that the whole of this is 32. Therefore, the remaining part will be A, 6, and B, and 0. That's why you saw me say that this total is equal to 32 plus A plus 6 plus B. Here. Okay, then you are going to get to substitute. The good thing, I know the value of B. So where there is B, put there 12. Now I have only one unknown. So simplify this plus this is 50. Then make A the subject. That is the value of A. But remember, our aim is to get the value of x. So I'm going to come and say that the whole of this gives me 28. So the whole of that gives you 28. Substitute for A, simplify, and make x the subject. So now that you have got the value of x, we can now get the number of those who belong to at least 2 clubs, which is 12 plus 6 plus 4 plus 2, which is 24. After that, we can now get the probability. Probability means event over sample space. Event is this 24, and sample space was given as 56 to the number of students. So that's how the 9 marks would come about. So this B1 is only for seeing this 24, and this one is for seeing the whole fraction. So that means that it is okay to leave it like this or to reduce. The question required candidates to represent the given information on a Venn diagram and say notation for modified SNE question. So here we are in, this one means special needs education, but on this platform we are not considering that. Sorry about that. So determine the numbers in different regions. Identify the region of at least 2 clubs from the Venn diagram. Determine the probability of picking a student who belongs to at least 2 clubs. Many candidates fail to interpret. So questions of set theory, students find challenges in interpreting. So you should know the language they use. If they say this and this only, and only just say this and this, what does it mean? So take your time to interpret the question so that you can get total marks, because a little mistake makes all the 12 marks to go like that. So that was question 12. Now we shall go to question 13. So part A says, given that fx is equal to this and f4 is equal to 0, find, Roman 1, the possible values of b, and Roman 2, the value of f negative 8. So let's start with that part A. So we are given that fx is equal to 27 in brackets x minus b squared. Then they said f4 is 0. f4 means where there is x, you put 4. So let's do that. After putting 4, you remember that the whole of f4 is equal to 0. So the whole of this is equal to 0. Get that? So what I've done, replace this with 0 because that's what they told us. Then also this times this gives you 108. This times this gives you 27b squared. Okay. Now, next is to look for making b the subject. I'm going to take this one this side. It was negative, it becomes positive. Then divide both sides by 27 to give you b squared as 4. Then put a square root to give you plus or minus 2. It must be plus or minus 2. That was part A. Part B, f negative 8 means that you come and say, first of all, fx, where there is b, you put there 2. 2 squared is 4. Then from there you can now get your f negative 8, whereby you replace x with 8 to give you that as the answer. So far we have got the 5 marks on part A. Now we shall go to part B, which says if inverse of gx is this, inverse of g3 is 11, and inverse of g2 is 16. Determine the values of p and q, and part B, the expression of gx. Okay. So usually they give you gx and you get the inverse, but now they're giving you the inverse, you have to get gx. So first of all, you have that. Inverse of g3 means that where there is x, you put there 3. And they told us that the whole of this is 11. So this 3 squared is 9. So we shall get an equation there. Also, they said inverse of g2, it means that where there is x, you put 2. And they said it is equal to 16. That's why I put 16 here. So that gives us our second equation. Now, these are 2 equations, 2 unknowns we can solve simultaneously. The good thing, this is 2 and this is 2. So when you subtract, the 2 will cancel. So 9 minus 4 gives you 5p. 11 minus 6 gives you negative 5. Divide both sides by 5 to give you p as negative 1. We have got the value of p. We can either use equation 1 or equation 2 to get the value of q. Let's use equation 1. Come and substitute for q. You'll be able to get the value of q as that. That was part A. Then part B. Part B said the value of gx. Okay. Now that, because we have not got the constants, we can get the expression of gx without a constant. And to be that. Therefore, to get gx, we shall first let this be y. Then we come and substitute this, we put there y, then this remains, this remains. Then our aim is to make x the subject. So take this negative side and this y this side to come up with this. Then put a square root on both sides. And that will be the value of gx. You will conclude that gx is equal to 20, then where there was y, you put x. And that's what they wanted. So the question required candidates to substitute in the function in order to determine the value of the function. Then make the subject of the formula, form and solve linear simultaneous equations, determine the inverse of the function. So the question was very popular and well done. A few candidates experienced challenges in substituting and simplifying integers. Some candidates failed to determine the inverse of the function, So advise that teachers should emphasize handling the operations involving negative integers. They should also guide learners properly on how to get the inverse of inverse functions. Mathematical stroke scientific language should be emphasized. The learners need more examples and practice for proper grasping of the concepts. Okay, that was question 13. Now shall go to question 14. It says, two towns P and Q are 300 kilometers apart. A taxi left town P for town Q at 7 a.m. and traveled non-stop at a steady speed of 80 kilometers per hour. At 8:15, a saloon car left town Q for town P at a steady speed of 100 kilometers per hour. Okay. After 1 hour, the car stopped for the driver to have breakfast. That lasted for 30 minutes. Okay. The car then traveled at a steady speed of 120 kilometers per hour until it reached town P. Using a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 20 kilometers and 1 centimeter to represent 15 minutes, draw on the same axis the distance time graphs for the journeys of the two vehicles. So we shall need let's first do part A. In this we need a graph paper. So we shall come and get our graph paper. Then draw the axis for the horizontal, which is time, and the vertical, which is distance. Then they told us in the question that we are using a scale of, for the horizontal, 1 centimeter to represent 15 minutes. So shall come here and use that scale. That is what they mean by 1 centimeter. So to represent 15 minutes, so you keep on adding 15, 15, 15, 15. Okay, that is for the time. What about for the distance? For the distance, they said 1 centimeter to represent 20 kilometers. So shall come here and also put the scale for the vertical, where 1 centimeter represents 20. So you keep on adding 20, 20, 20 at the end until we reach 300, because 300 is the total distance apart. Okay, now you have to show where town P is and town Q is. So town P is here and town Q is here. The distance apart is 300 kilometers. That's what you should remember. Then shall start statement by statement. A taxi left P for Q at 7 a.m. and traveled non-stop at a steady speed of 80 kilometers per hour. So after 1 hour, so from here, 1 hour will be this. So after 1 hour, it traveled 80 kilometers. So you have put this is 1 hour and this is 80. So we are going to draw a straight line from here through this and make it longer until it touches town Q. There we'll have reached town Q. So let's do that. Okay, that is the journey for the taxi. What about the saloon car? Saloon car said began at 8:15. Okay, and moved at a steady speed of 100 kilometers per hour. But remember, there's something they told us, that after 1 hour, the saloon car stopped. So this speed was made for only 1 hour. Therefore, shall come here and say that first of all, 1 hour 8:15 is here. So this is where he begins from. Then after 1 hour, it will be, let me see, this is 8:15, it will be 9:15. That will be 1 hour. And he moved for, that is 1 hour. Then he moved for 100, so shall count. From here, 300 minus 100, you come to 200. So this is where the 100 is. Because remember, he began from this side. So this is 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Then shall join those 2 points and only stop there because he used that time for only 1 hour. Then let's see the next information. The next information says, after 1 hour, he stopped for 30 minutes. So time is moving, but the distance is not changing. So distance is the same, but time is moving for 30 minutes. So 9:15, if you add on 30 minutes, it will become 9:45. That's why you see this vertical line here. And the distance remains the same. Okay. Then let's go to the next information. Next information says, the car then traveled at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour until it reached town P. So 120. So we are going to come and look for another 1 hour. So from 9:45, the next 1 hour will be 10:45. And they said they moved for 120 kilometers. So let's count. This is 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. That is why you are seeing this line there. So we are going to join until he reaches town P. So let's do that using a ruler. Okay, I think that is it. So we are done with the graph. Now we can see the questions they asked. For part B, use your graph to determine the time when the two vehicles met. And Roman 2, the distance from Chu. Know this word, from Chu, when the two vehicles met. Okay. So they met at this point. So the time will be 9:30. And the distance, remember this is 200, but this 200 is from P, but I said from Chu. So from Chu to be 120, 40, 60, 80, 100. So it will be 100. That's what they want. So these are the marks for the graph. And now let's go and state the time and the distance. So the two vehicles met at 9:30 a.m. and the distance from Chu was 100. That was part B. Now we can go to part C. Part C, they said, calculate the average speed of the salon car. Average speed means total distance over total time. So total distance is known, it was 300. What about total time? Total time is 3 hours, 9 minutes. How did we get that? So remember they said average speed of the salon car. So let's see how it came about. The salon car, remember it started from here and stopped here. Okay, now you have to count the time. Let's start. From 8:15 to 9:15, that is 1 hour. 9:15 to 10:15, another 1 hour. 10:15 to 11:15 is another 1 hour. Those are 3 hours. Now we count these small squares. There is 1, 2, and 3. Those are 3 small squares. Now, how do we deal with these 3 small squares? We know that the scale, they told us 1 centimeter represents 15 minutes. Okay. And 1 centimeter has 5 small squares. So 5 small squares represent 15 minutes. Meaning 1 small square will represent 15 over 5, which is 3. Okay, but for us we have 3 small squares. So 3 small squares will represent 3 times 3, which is 9 minutes. So that's why we said the total time is 3 hours, 9 minutes. Okay. In terms of hours, it is 9 minutes in hours in 9 over 60, which is 3.5 hours. Then you can now get the average speed. And that's what they wanted. So the question required candidates to use the given scales. It must be the given scales. To draw accurate distance-time graph, accurate means it has to be drawn on graph paper. Read the distance and time from the distance-time graph and calculate the average speed of the saloon car from the distance-time graph. Some candidates failed to consistently use the given scale, so it must be the given scale. Candidates had challenges in plotting and drawing accurate graphs as well as reading distance and time from the graphs. Some candidates also had challenges in getting and converting total time from minutes to hours. Remember, you can't use total time when it has minutes and hours. So that was question 14. Now we shall go to question 15. Question 15 says, a dealer sells motorcycles on cash terms and hire purchase terms. A motorcycle can be bought on hire purchase terms by making a deposit of 1 million and then paying 10 equal installments of shillings 300,000 each. The hire purchase price is 25% higher than the cash price. Calculate the cash price. I think let's begin with that. So monthly installments, you pay 300 for 10 times. So 10 times 300,000 gives you 3 million. Then the initial deposit was 1 million plus the total, which gives you the higher purchase, which is 4 million. But they told us that the cash price, the higher purchase price is 25% more. Let's read this. Higher purchase price is 25% more than the cash price. So that word more is what makes us to add. If they said less, we would have said minus. So 100% plus 25 gives you 125. Therefore, higher purchase price is 125 over 100 times the cash price. We know this higher purchase price, so we can get the cash price by dividing both sides by 1.25 to give you this as the cash price. That was part A. What about part B? Part B said, the dealer bought motorcycles. The cost price of a motorcycle was shillings 3 million. The dealer then sold 18 motorcycles on cash terms and 30 motorcycles on hire purchase terms. Calculate the percentage profit made by the dealer on the sales of the motorcycles. So we shall come and say that profit on each motorcycle sold by cash terms is this cash price minus cost price, which is 200,000. But there were 18 motorcycles bought on cash terms, so the total profit will be 18 times 200,000, which gives you 3.6 million. The profit made on each motorcycle bought on hire purchase is 4M minus 1M to give minus 3M to give you 1M. But there are 30 motorcycles bought on hire purchase, so 30 times 1 million gives you 30 million. The total profit will now be this plus this to give you 33.6 million. But they want the percentage profit. So total cost price is 18 plus 18 for cash and 30 for hire purchase times the cost for each motorcycle, which is 144 million. Therefore, percentage profit is total profit over total cost price times 100. Profit is this, cost price is this, times 100 to give you 23.33. And that's what they wanted. So the question required candidates to calculate hire purchase price and cash price, cost price, selling price, profit, and percentage profit after the sales on hire purchase and cash terms. Many candidates failed to form correct equations to calculate cash price from hire purchase price, and majority of the candidates who attempted the question could not differentiate between cash price and cost price. That was question 15. Now we shall go to question 16. It says, in a parallelogram OABC, OA is A. Now here, they didn't draw for you, so you have to sketch. Let's first draw a shape of a parallelogram. So they said OA is A tilde. Then OC is C tilde. M lies on AB such that AM is equal to 3MB. So AM is 3MB, meaning AM is bigger than MB. Line OB and SC, line OB and SC intersect at P. So we shall use a ruler and draw those lines. AB, then SC, they intersect at P. OP is equal to PB. OP is equal to PB, meaning this is the midpoint. And AP is equal to PC. AP is equal to PC, midpoint also. X is the midpoint of CB. Come CB, locate X and put it there. OB produced to Y such that OB is produced to Y such that ratio of OB to BY is 7:3. Produce means make it longer. So make it longer to reach Y. So there's a diagram. Then they said, express in terms of A and C the vectors OP from O to P. So for a parallelogram, CB is equal to OA and AB is equal to OC. Therefore, OB is equal to OA plus AB, which is A tilde plus C tilde. But OP is equal to PB, therefore we shall come as that PB is what? They already told us that these are equal, meaning that OP is half of OB. Now that I've got OB, I'll come at OB and put it here, then half is here, and that's what they wanted. Then part B they said XM. So we know that AM is equal to 3MB. Therefore, AM to MB is 3/3 to 1. And because these are similar, it means that MB is equal to a quarter. A quarter means 1 over the total ratio, which is 1/4 of AB. That is the ratio theory. And AB, we know that is C. So it becomes a quarter C tilde. Also, we know that CX is equal to XB, meaning that XB is half of CB. And we know that CB is A. Okay. Now we can get our XM being XB plus BM. So BM, here if we realize it was plus BM and yes, minus MB, because BM is negative of MB. So substitute XB, MB, LCM to give you the output. And that's how the 10 marks would come. Now we are left with 2 marks. We shall see them in the next slide. So next they want BY. BY. The good thing we have this ratio. So we shall come and say OB divided by BY is equal to 7/3. So cross multiply and make BY the subject. And that's what they wanted. So the question required candidates to sketch the parallelogram with diagonals OB and SC. The line OB produced to point Y shown on the diagram. Interpret ratios in vectors and apply them correctly. Many candidates fail to interpret and apply the given ratios to determine the required vectors in terms of A and C. So vectors, you have to be well versed with it because the question has to come. And lastly, question 17. So question 17 says, the figure below shows the net of a right pyramid with a rectangular base. Part A, draw the pyramid formed from the net. Part B, calculate Roman 1, the height of the pyramid. Roman 2, the angle between the slanting edge and the base of the pyramid. And part C, also Roman 3, the volume of the pyramid. So this is the net, meaning that we have to come and get and fold it to get the pyramid they want. So we can try it by cutting a paper in this shape, then try to join them. But when we join them, this is what we are going to get. We shall have a base. Remember, this is 3-dimensional, so that's why the shape is a little tilted. You may think parallelogram, but that's how they draw it in 3D. A rectangle. Then shall start joining the vertex. So this is the first triangle, we have folded it. Then we shall go to the next triangle, then the other triangle, and that gives us the pyramid which they wanted. So we need to get the height because the pyramid has a vertical height, which is that. So now we shall go to part B. Part B, they said calculate the height of the pyramid. So for the height of the pyramid, we shall need to extract out so we shall first extract out that triangle, because actually the height they want is this h. But the funny thing is that we don't know this height is what they want, but we know this slanting, it is 12, okay. But we don't know this length OA. So what do? The first thing to do is to get triangle ABC. So we have to remove that and first look for triangle ABC, which is that. Then get the hypotenuse using Pythagoras theory. So when I substitute, SC will come up to be SC squared is that, get square root to give you 15. So after getting SC, you realize that AO is half of SC. So we can get now AO, which will be used in triangle AOV. So let's first remove ABC. So that triangle AOV, you can easily get this height. Therefore, you shall come here and extract out triangle AOV. And then use Pythagoras theory. Substitute VA, VO, and OA. Simplify, then take this one this side to give you 100, h squared, meaning h is 10. So that is the height they wanted. Then for Roman 2, they wanted the angle between the slanting edge and the base of the pyramid. This is the slanting edge and this is the base. So the angle between, we shall still use this triangle and get this angle. That is angle VAO. So we shall come and still use this same triangle and get angle VAO. So this is VAO, you change that. So cos is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, which gives you 0. Cos theta equals 0.6, then arc cos is 3.3, and that's what they wanted. Then Roman 3, they wanted the volume of the pyramid. So know that the volume of the pyramid is a third base area times height. So the base was a rectangle, meaning it will be length times width, and height was 10. So it will give us 360 as the required volume. And that's what they wanted. So the question required candidates to draw and sketch the pyramid from the given net of the pyramid, correctly labeling the dimensions, applying Pythagoras theorem to calculate the diagonal of the rectangular base, vertical height of the triangular face, and the vertical height of the pyramid. Apply trigonometrical ratios to determine the angle between the edge and the rectangular base, and substitute into the formula for volume to get the volume of the pyramid. So many candidates could not draw the sketch, and that's where marks begin to get lost from. Because when the sketch is not okay, then nothing can be okay. Some candidates managed to draw the sketch, but when it came to identifying the angle between the edge and the edge base, it was a challenge. So practice is needed here. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and be reminded the next video will be on Physics Paper 1 for Uneb 2022. So if you have not yet subscribed, please click on the subscribe button below this video, such that you can receive updates when the next video has been uploaded. And also, if you know of any student who's not yet on this platform, please Share the link of this video with them via social media platforms like Facebook and WhatsApp, so that we can all benefit as a family.